It hasn't been given to you now. It was sent to you in March.
Mr. Chair, please.
Order.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think that's interesting that you just
I'd like
said that.
to ask, what are you going to do?
The letter is tabled, Premier.
No, and I'm going to read from it.
Premier, are you aware that since you came to office, more than 10 regional publications have shut down in New South Wales?
I didn't know the number was 10, but I knew that there'd been several that had shut down.
Are you aware that in September last year there was a media release from your government stating that you're going to deliver on your election commitment to ensure the longevity of regional media, in your first budget delivering a $3 million commitment devoted to advertising spend in regional and community print outlets? Do you remember that announcement?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of a letter that you received in March this year, a joint letter from the Managing Director of the Australian Community Media and the President of the Country Press?
No, I'm not aware specifically
I've
of
got
that
a
letter.
copy here, so I'll be very happy to table it and provide it to you to have a look at. As I said, Premier, it was sent some months ago, back in March, and I'll just wait for you to get the document, but you'll see in the highlighted part, in the letter that is addressed to you dated 7th of March this year, whilst the $1 million of incremental New South Wales government advertising spend that was part of your government's election commitment was welcomed, sadly this promised expenditure has not occurred. In fact, New South Wales government advertising spend in regional newspapers has fallen by over 40% in the last 12 months. Premier, why haven't you honoured your election commitment?
My understanding was that we had honoured the election commitment in relation to the increase in expenditure for regional publications, but the net amount that's spent in regional newspapers across government agencies has dropped. Well, that's at least what was presented to me by the ACM and the regional editors.
Well, they're saying...
Hang on, I'm going to complete my answer. So I did have a discussion with them about the government's commitment, and not just the government's commitment in relation to that fund specifically for regional outlets, and there was a similar fund that was in place for ethnic media and other newspapers and media in the state, but also in relation to other government agencies. The big spender for regional communities from the government, particularly for newspapers, is roads and road safety campaigns and programs. In any event, I agreed to meet them.
They wrote to you in March. You said you bumped into them at AgQuip last week. We've had at least 10 and possibly more regional newspapers go under. They're saying under your government, the advertising spend is down 40% in the last 12 months. That means people are losing their jobs. That means regional people who rely on those newspapers for access to information are missing out because you haven't spent the money that you said you would in terms of advertising spend. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a glib recitation of the circumstances relating to the economics of newspapers.
About it.
No, I'm going to answer the question that you put to me. And the reason is, and the major reason is, because you've neglected to point out the sharing agreement, the fund sharing agreement from major social media firms in the country. There was a pool of funds that was distributed. My understanding is it continues to be distributed by Google, but Meta withdrew from the application. And that's affecting print media, broadcast media, regional media right across the country. It's particularly the case in disaggregated populations like in New South Wales, and is the leading pressure, the massive pressure that we're seeing when it comes to regional newspapers. So
can Premier,
I want to take issue with the last bit of your question, which was that the drop in New South Wales government spending, which you articulated, is the reason for these newspapers going out. I just think it's important for the committee to understand that there are a lot of economic forces in relation to media businesses. Perhaps you're not aware of them.
I don't need to be lectured by you in relation to what happens to regional newspapers with respect, Premier. I know many of the people who own and operate and work in these papers, and they've made it very clear that that lack of government advertising spend and the lack of the rollout of your election commitment is placing huge financial
But perhaps
pressures
you didn't
on
read
them.
the
So you are
second
going to
paragraph
meet with
of the
them.
letter that you
You
gave
are
me.
going to meet with them next week. What will you do?
Well, Mr. Chair, I think that's interesting that you just
I'd like
said that.
to ask, what are you going to do?
The letter is tabled, Premier.
No, and I'm going to read from it.
No,
I don't
just
need
answer the
to.
question.
Point of order.
Mr. Chair, surely I'm entitled to refer to the document that's been given to me.
Order. Point of order has been taken by Mr. Nanva. Mr. Nanva, on point of order.
Chair, inconvenient if I
the opposition may not like the answer that's being given, but the
know
answer
what's
is
in the letter.
relevant to the question that was asked, and I just ask that the courtesy be extended to the Premier.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, I was
Mr.
listening
Speaker, I'm happy
very
to take the
clearly.
question.
I'm ruling,
I'm
Mr.
here for 4 hours.
Premier, The question was, what are you going to do?
No.
I was listening. No. The question from Mrs. Mitchell to you was, what were you going to do? Are you going to meet with these people, or you are going to meet with these people? Sorry, and I think you were responding to that. So please respond.
No, Mr.
Will you
Chair,
guarantee the 3 million
question
will be rolled
was,
out?
as a result of the government's closure, supposed reduction in spending for regional press, people are losing their jobs. And I'm just pointing, and I think this is reasonable. If it's not, I think it's grossly unfair, that I refer to the tabled document supplied by the honourable member in the second paragraph. And I'll read it to the committee. This has just been given to me now.
I don't need you to do that. It
By
hasn't
the
been given to you now. It was
Mr.
sent to
Chair.
you in March.
Mr. Chair, please.
Order. The Premier can respond to the question the way he
You just
sees fit.
cherry-pick.
He is being relevant to the questions you have asked. Please proceed, Mr.
The
Premier.
widely reported decision this week by Facebook parent company Meta to discontinue funding to regional media as compensation for using our locally generated news content will have an immediate and devastating effect. It removes a critical
Premier.
income stream that had been widely expected to continue for at least another 3 years.
And they also
no,
very
I'll
clearly in
make
the
this
letter,
point.
Premier,
Commitment
country
to election.
people
I'll make
will
this
listen
point,
to
Mr.
this.
Speaker,
They
that
very
if you're
clearly
going
in
to
the
present
letter
information
articulate
in
the
a
lack of
committee
like this,
investment from your
particularly in relation
government.
to
You
regional
can't hide
economies,
from this,
Or-
Premier.
particularly
Order.
if you're going to
Order,
ask questions
please.
about regional economies or the businesses.
What about
It
election
shouldn't be
commitments?
the case that you cherry pick information. And in fact, the second
goodness
look,
sake.
this just goes to the point here
That
There's
you know
been an
nothing about
income
regional
stream.
New South Wales and you don't care? Because that's pretty evident.
That's the point.
Order.
Well,
Order.
You've got your abuse out of the way, and I'll
Order.
answer
There's
the question
nothing
now.
abusive
Order.
about
I'll just say
Mr.
this.
Premier.
I'll just say this, Mr. Chair.
Please come to order.
Clearly, the economics of media, particularly in regional New South Wales, particularly when it comes to regional newspapers, has been significantly affected by social media companies, particularly Meta's decision to withdraw that local content fee to regional newspapers. The same occurs to major publications in metropolitan Sydney's like Sydney and other places.
Premier,
As
they
a
very
result of
clearly
that,
say
I'm
in
going to
this
finish
letter,
this because
though,
this isn't just hyperbole. This
I'm
is
asking
absolutely
you about
crucial.
New South Wales
As a result
government
of that,
spending.
of course,
That's what we're here to do.
Of course, the government will meet with regional businesses and talk about changes to the circumstances.
6 months after they
But
write you.
I honestly think that you should present all of the
It's lucky it
information that's
wasn't
been
Steve
presented to
McMahon.
you.
Yeah,
He would've got
he
an
got in
answer.
3
All
days,
right,
but
no,
these
would've
guys
got an
wait
answer,
6
wouldn't he?
months.
Order. Order.
Well, you've neglected the second paragraph in
Steve
your
McMahon.
Well,
question.
you've
Mrs.
neglected the
Smith,
bulk
which
of the
says
letter and the
particularly-
refusal
Got a
of 6 months
question?
to meet.
Please
It adds to
proceed
the-
rather than
Thank you,
Bad
It
Chair.
adds to the
witness.
suggestion that you're not
Thank
on the
you,
level
Chair.
about trying to find a solution to this
Premier,
is my only point.
You're the one not on the level. They wrote to you 6 months ago and you've ignored it.